What is up, YouTube? I'm back doing a little follow-up video on my Ruger 1022. First things first, before we get started, do another little safety check here. Just show you that the bolt's open. You can see the red line from the magazine. We are all empty and safe. And if you haven't seen my first video, please do check it out. I'll post a link in the description. But it gives you a nice overview of what I've done so far to the rifle. And if you have seen my first video, you can probably tell that I've added a couple of parts. As promised, I was debating between the bipod and the sling I mentioned in the first video, and I couldn't make up my mind, so I went with both. I got the bipod right here, and the sling. They're both made by Winchester. And that's one of the reasons that I wanted to make this video, was to showcase a couple of new parts. The other reasons were I want to give you an update on a couple of the parts I previously reviewed, because I've gotten this gun out to the range a few more times, and some of the parts are really starting to show their true colors. And I want to give you an update on that. And then I'm also going to talk at the end about a couple of future videos and future projects I hope to bring to you guys. But as I said, I got the bipod right here, mounted right on the swivel stud. It was a very easy attachment. Folds up, spring-loaded, so no buttons, no nothing to get it folded up. And then if you give these dials up top here a little quarter twist, you can extend the legs. Gives you a pretty good wide range that you can use it. You can see that's a little ridiculously high, but at the range I was using it about halfway. And I was really happy that I picked this up, because it just made it so easy to sight in my rifle, and it gave me some nice tight grooves, and it's definitely a must-have for your Ruger 1022. And the sling that I picked up is just a cheap little $6 sling from Winchester also. And I just really wanted to get this to try out some different positions and different setups for this rifle, because with everything that I have added on it, you can still run a swivel stud here and run it to the back of the stock, which would be a traditional rifle setup. But with all the stuff I have attached to it, the bipod, the foregrip, the magazine, extended magazine, and the pistol rear grip, I really didn't think that would work too well, running it all the way up and down the length of the rifle. And I have to give some credit to ATI, the people that made this Strike Force stock, because they give you quite a few options to set up your sling. Of course, as I mentioned right here, the swivel stud that comes already built in right on the back here, and then they also include one right up top here under the scope right here that you would normally use if you were going to set this up with a single point sling. I tried out every combination on here, and I found that it was okay running it from this bipod here up around the side to this top swivel stud. It worked pretty well. It was kind of comfortable, but it wasn't good for getting the gun back in a firing position. It took a little doing, and I had to completely take off the sling. So what I've opted to do instead here is mount it to the very back of the stock and to the top right here. And that's not the most traditional setup, but I found that it works really nicely for me in two different carry positions, and I'll give you a little look at that now. Let me just move my camera over. And the ways that I found it works is with the stock in its normal position, it works nicely over my right shoulder. And you can see it just hangs down right here. Got good access to the grip, can take it right up and be ready to shoot very, very easily. It's a good position for it, pretty comfortable way to carry. But I found you can't really use it on the right side if you're going to fold the stock, because it folds down to the right side, and you can carry it on the right side, but between the folded stock that I got here and the laser up front, it's just, if you're going to be walking a long ways, it's going to be banging up against you. It's just not that comfortable. So I found the other way to carry it is on the left side, and that's not the most typical setup for a shooter. Most people don't carry their guns on their left side, but I have this pistol grip right down here, and it ends up being right about where my arm just naturally hangs. And so I can hold it like that and get it up and into a firing position in just a second. And it's got just enough slack in the stock that I can put the scope up to a comfortable 3 inches of eye relief that I need to still use the scope effectively. And so that's two pretty good ways to carry it. Pretty comfortable. I may eventually get a little bit nicer sling. This one's pretty cheap, but it is it's comfortable enough, and it does the job just fine. And a couple other things I wanted to discuss in this video was, first of all, the ammunition that I've been using. I use the Federal right here. It is 36 grain copper plated hollow points. Velocity is good on it. It's 1260 feet per second, which is the same as the CCI mini mags that I got right here. This is about as strong a round as you'll find for a 22 long rifle. And the Federal is, the CCI mini mags cost, I think it was $7 for 100 rounds, not expensive by any means. And the Federal is even much cheaper than that. It was 550 rounds for $18. So a nice cheap way to shoot. And the reason I bring that up is I mentioned that I had some trouble with my Ruger Bx-25 at the range in my first video, and that I thought maybe a change of ammunition would help. Well, when I said that it didn't work well at the range, that was a massive understatement on my part. This magazine fed terribly at the range, and I just didn't want to badmouth it before I gave it its fair chance. It never made it through a whole mag without jamming. It never even made it halfway through a magazine without jamming. In fact, more often than not, I would load the mag, put it in the gun, release the bolt, and the bolt would make it halfway down and catch on the bullet. The bullet wouldn't leave the magazine, and it would just scrape the end off my bullet and jam instantly. So that was working pretty terribly the first time at the range. And by the same token, I said that the ram line worked surprisingly well. My 50-round double stack ram line magazine. And so knowing that, I was getting ready to go to the range for the second time. I started loading up my magazines, and I made it about 8 to 10 rounds into the ram line, and the two halves of the magazine started to separate. They started to come apart right down the seam in the middle. You can see that white stuff there, that's some Gorilla Glue. Letting it dry, and hopefully I can recover this magazine and still use it, but it broke straight up. And I mean, it's not an awful magazine. You get what you pay for. It was 20 bucks. It's by far the cheapest 50-round magazine that I've seen. And you know, it fed pretty well, but I don't know if maybe it was damaged while I was loading it or while I was transporting it, but I used that magazine just like anyone should expect to use a rifle magazine. So I was getting ready to go to the range. My ram line breaks, and now I'm getting a little worried because I'm about to go out to a range, and I have my factory 10-round magazine, and I have this magazine that didn't feed at all the first time at the range. So I'm thinking I'm probably going to have to reload every 10 rounds and set up a new magazine, which does not sound like fun. It was, I think, 98 degrees out that day. Not how I wanted to spend my time, but I went to the range anyways, and I fired, I think, 215 rounds, a few clips out of the factory 10 round, and 7 clips through the Ruger Bx-25. That's 175 bullets. And that whole time, that whole day, I did not have one single firing issue, one single feeding issue. I didn't have a single stovepipe, no failures to eject, no failures to feed, nothing. The magazine worked flawlessly. In between those 2 trips to the range, I did take this rifle completely apart, all the way down to the bare nuts and bolts of it, and cleaned it. And I think that must have helped it out, and I must have gotten it together right, because going through 175 rounds in extended 22 long rifle magazines is almost unheard of without a single problem. So I really, that was one of the biggest reasons why I wanted to make this video, give you an update on the ram line breaking and the fact that this Ruger Bx-25 just worked flawlessly, and I'm really, really happy with it. As I mentioned, I'm probably going to be doing a few more videos on a couple of parts that I'm going to get. I'm going to pick up some new magazines, and there is a good chance that they will all be Ruger Bx-25s after the performance it had last week. And then whatever website I pick these up from, I'll probably also get an auto bolt release and maybe another takedown screw just for the heck of it to have around. But I can't say enough good things about the Ruger Bx-25. I'm incredibly impressed, and I have to give it as high a review as I can give anything that I've picked up so far. So I just wanted to get that cleared up and out of the way, and let you know where to really invest your money in magazines. As I mentioned, a few future videos on their way. The other thing that I'm thinking about doing, and hopefully will bring you in the next couple of weeks, is a little bit of a buyer's guide and a website review. Because when I was picking up parts for this, I bought 3 things from combatstocks.com: the stock itself, the pistol foregrip, and a bipod, not this one but another one. And from a website called CDNN Investments, I picked up the Ruger magazine, the Ramline magazine, and the scope. And what I want to do is just let you know about their selection, their prices, you know, what I got from them that worked, what didn't, and just let you know where to get some quality, inexpensive Ruger 1022 parts. And then also in those videos, I'll probably take the time to go just a little bit more in depth with each one of the parts, most notably the scope. I spent a pretty good amount of time talking about the scope in my first video, but I think now that I have the bipod and I can fold the stock, I think I'm going to be able to give you guys a pretty good look down the scope, which is a tough thing to do, but I would love to be able to showcase to you guys the P4 sniper reticle, and also I'll light it up for you so you can see what it looks like illuminated, and I think that'll be a pretty interesting video. But that's what I got on the way for you guys. I got some company coming for the next couple weeks. I might not have a chance right away, but I will get that out to you guys. Thank you very much for watching. I hope that if you haven't seen it, that you do check out my first video. I'll put a link in the description. And I really appreciate your support. Thanks for everything, and I will see you again.